one of the significantly important responsibilities of campuses is to provide support for its students who have experienced sexual assault through a range of resources. Some campuses do that very well. Other campuses need some help in that regard. And I think one of the fantastic things about students calling much more attention to this issue is that universities are being pressed to make sure that they have counselors on campus who are certified in supporting students who have experienced trauma, as well as a meaningful process for providing what gets called in this area accommodations, which means enabling a student to take an exam late or delay a paper if they need to because they've experienced trauma, or putting in place a no contact order, figuring out housing issues, and all the sorts of things that are really of immediate concern to students.
Do we have the same process for someone who's been accused of a rape? Do we have counseling and accommodations being made?
Yeah. I mean, all students have access to counseling and psychological services.
Let me just comment on that briefly. That's an important point, because if you read the letter that came from the Office of Civil Rights
in 2011,
and if you read other material that's come out of the Obama administration about this, there are often suggestions, if not mandates, to provide counseling to mitigate the effects of this trauma on the complainant. And I don't think I've ever seen in any of these documents that came out of the administration anything that talks about providing counseling for the student who's accused, mitigating the effects of an accusation on a student who claims and may be that he's innocent. The focus is always on providing counseling for the accuser, and nobody is suggesting that it shouldn't be there. I mean, I don't think there's any argument over the kind of remedial measures that Suzanne is talking about for students who've been traumatized. That's not what we're arguing about. What we're arguing about is, how do you get to the point where you feel reasonably certain that one student has assaulted another, that one student is responsible or is guilty, whatever term you want to use, of assaulting another, that serious disciplinary actions have to be taken.
Why would anybody lodge a false allegation? Does that happen? There's this figure that I've read that's only 2% of rape charges are false. I don't exactly know where that figure comes, but can't we just assume that if a woman is filing this rape claim, it probably happened, Wendy?
Well, then why bother having any hearings at all, if we're going to assume that it's true?
Do you buy the 2% figure, Suzanne? Have you ever heard that 2% figure?
I've seen 2%, I've seen 4%, I've seen 6%. I think the bottom line point is, whatever the number is, it tells us that probably 95% of claims are based in fact. It doesn't mean, though, that we wouldn't have a process around it. Different people may have different experiences of the same incident. That is why we need well-trained investigators and well-trained decision makers to make this determination.
Wendy, one last point, and then we have to stop.
It doesn't matter in general how many false allegations are made, because justice isn't based on a law of averages. Whether there are only 1% of false allegations made or 10% of false or mistaken allegations made, every case has to be judged on its own merit. And every person who's accused deserves a whole set of rights, regardless of how many people who are accused are actually guilty, because we don't necessarily know in any given case who's guilty and who's innocent. So the general numbers don't matter, because justice has to be individualized.